Latin American people win independence. Latin American, most of the populations resented the domination of European colonial powers. The time seems right for the people who lived there to sweep away all colonial masters and gain control of the land. Colonial society was divided. At the top of Spanish American society were the peninsulas, people who had been born in Spain, which is on the Iberian Peninsula. They could hold high office in Spanish colonial government. Creoles, Spaniards born in Latin America, were below the peninsulas in rank. Creoles could not hold high-level political office, but they could rise as officers in Spanish colonial armies. Together, these two groups controlled land, wealth, and power in the Spanish colonies. Below the peninsulas and Creoles came the mestizos, persons of mixed European and Indian ancestry. Next were the mulattoes, persons of mixed European and African ancestry, and enslaved Africans. Indians were at the bottom of the social ladder. By the late 17th, colonists in Latin America, already aware of Enlightenment ideas, were electrified by the news of the American and French revolutions. The success of the American Revolution encouraged them to try to gain freedom from their European masters. The French colony called Saint-Domingue was the first Latin American territory to free itself from European rule. The colony, now known as Haiti. Nearly 500,000 enslaved Africans worked on French plantations, and white masters used brutal methods to terrorize them and keep them powerless. While the French Revolution was taking place, oppressed people in the French colony of Haiti rose up against the French masters. In 1791, 100,000 enslaved Africans rose in revolt. A leader soon emerged, Toussaint Louverture. Toussaint was unfamiliar with military and diplomatic matters. Even so, he rose to become a skilled general and diplomat. By 1801, Toussaint had taken control of the entire island and freed all the enslaved Africans. In 1802, 30,000 French troops landed in Saint-Domingue to remove Toussaint from power. Toussaint agreed to hold the revolution if the French would end slavery. Despite the agreement, the French seized him and sent him to a prison in the French Alps, where he died in 1803. Haiti independence. Toussaint Lieutenant Jean-Jacques Dessalines took up the fight for freedom. On January 1, 1804, General Dessalines declares the colony an independent country. It was the first black colony to free itself from European control. Dessalines called the country Haiti, which is in the language of the Arawak natives meant mountainous land. Even though they could not hold high public office, Creoles were the least oppressed of those born in Latin America. They were also the best educated. In fact, many wealthy young Creoles traveled to Europe for their education. In Europe, they read about and adopted Enlightenment ideas. When they returned to Latin America, they brought ideas of revolution with them. Napoleon's conquest of Spain in 1808 triggered revolts in the Spanish colonies. Creoles, recalling Locke's idea of the concept of the governed, argued that when the real king was removed, power shifted to the people. In 1810, rebellion broke out in several parts of Latin America. The drive towards independence had begun.
Bolivar's route to victory. Simón Bolívar's native Venezuela declared its independence from Spain in 1811. Bolívar led over 2,000 soldiers on daring march through the Andes into what is now Colombia. In 1821, Bolívar had won Venezuela's independence. In Ecuador, Bolívar finally met José de San Martín. Together, they would decide the future of the Latin American revolutionary movement. San Martín leads Southern Liberation Forces. San Martín's Argentina had declared its independence in 1816. In 1817, San Martín led an army on a grueling march across the Andes to Chile. He was joined there by Bernardo O'Higgins. In 1821, San Martín planned to drive the remaining Spanish forces out of Lima, Peru. San Martín and Bolívar discussed this problem when they met at Guayaquil, Ecuador in 1822. San Martín left his army for Bolívar to command. Bolívar's army went on to defeat the Spanish at the Battle of Ayacucho, Peru, on December 9th in 1824. In this last major battle of the War for Independence, the Spanish colonies in Latin America won their freedom. The future countries of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador were united into a country called Gran Colombia.
In 1807, Napoleon invaded Spain and Portugal to close the port of these countries to British shipping. Consequently, Prince John and the royal family escaped to their largest colony, that it was Brazil. In 1850, Napoleon was defeated, and King John and the Portuguese government returned to Portugal. Dom Pedro, who was King John's son, stayed behind in Brazil. Thus, Creoles signed a petition demanding Brazilian independence, and on September 7, 1822, Dom Pedro declared Brazil's independence. If we compared our independence process with the Brazilian ones, we can realize that the Brazilian is known to be one of the most peaceful independence influenced by Enlightenment ideas.